education, an international project coordinator. Sandy is a research fellow at the Universidade Nova de Lisboa. So let's listen to, let's learn with and interact with Sandy. Over to you, Sandy, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Alberto, for that lovely introduction. I forgot that I was muted. It's lovely, and I'm so proud that Appy has reached 20 years. It's magical, very magical. Yeah. Okay. I just want to ask you all, if you can, to go to the view at the top of your screens and select speaker view only, okay? And then you'll be able to see the person who's speaking, which in this case will be me. It's interesting because I can just see Sonia. I can't see myself yet, even though I'm speaking. Okay. I've decided that I'm not going to use a PowerPoint. I'm going to be liberated, and I'm just going to talk to you through the screen, and I'm going to share some picture books. And I think it will hopefully be a good opportunity because you'll be able to see them, because you will be with your nose on the screen. And I won't be up on a stage, and you won't be, you know, sitting in chairs meters away from me. So that's kind of nice. And I think that might mean that I might not do exactly what my abstract said I was going to do. But anyway, I hope that's not a problem. Okay, just a minute. Let me just check here. For some reason, my view is of the Appy. Yes, it's very strange. I can't actually see myself, which is odd. I thought I'd be able to see myself, but anyway. So the title of my session then is, let me just move things around. There we go, that's much better. I can see the chat. So I'm going to be writing things in the chat occasionally, and I'm going to be sharing links with you, okay? And I'll be sharing the picture book on the screen, so you'll be able to see that. So do comment and say things through the chat as well, because that's how we're going to be able to interact, because I can't see you all. The very first thing that I want you to do, so this session is about picture books. There should be a poll set up somewhere. I think that Sonia has set up the poll. And so I just want to get an idea. The question for the poll is, do you use picture books in your classes? And you can either reply yes, no, or I don't know. Okay, so if you can complete the poll, there you go. Have you got access to the poll there? It says here that the host and panelists can't vote, okay, but you all can. So if you could, Sonia, I don't know if you want to tell people what to do. I have no idea how to do a poll.
Well, they are already answering, Sandy.
But they're answering in the chat. That doesn't help me. I want to see the poll.
No, not in the chat. I will show you the
Brilliant.
poll once they answer.
Fantastic.
Okay.
Fantastic.
I will show the results when they answer. So, for instance, I can tell you by now that already 127 participants had voted, so 90%.
That's amazing. Well done, everyone. Okay, that'll do.
That'll do. So I'm going to finish to close the poll, and I will show the results. Okay.
Lovely, thank you.
Can you see it?
Look at that. That's fantastic. 20 years ago, that would not have been the reply. It would probably have been 16% who did and 82% who didn't. And it's lovely. Thank you guys for owning up to the fact that you're not sure if you're using picture books in your classrooms. Oh, that's wonderful. And my heart grows to know that so many of you use picture books in the classroom. That's really nice. So you may know some of the picture books that I'm going to share with you. You may not. Some of them are those that I've shared with you over my time with Appy and AppyNet. So my session is called An Other's Story, Picture Books, Theory of Mind and Empathy. And I'm going to start by talking a little bit about my story with picture books through Appy and AppyNet. And then I'm going to share some picture books and one of the reasons for doing this is because I know that some of you might be sharing picture books online with learners, and through the pandemic, we've realized that it's actually quite an interesting experience to share picture books online and to provide recordings for children to access autonomously through a recording. So that's something I want you to think about as I share. If you don't already do this, then as I share the picture book, think about how you might be able to do that to provide access to picture books for your students. Gosh, I'm amazed, 152 participants. It's really fantastic. I'm absolutely certain you're all in your pajamas. So then I'm going to talk a little bit about picture books and how they bring their narratives to the reader. I'm also going to mention anthropomorphism, theory of mind and empathy. And I'm going to encourage you all to, well, I don't know. I mean, you obviously use picture books in the classroom, so I'm going to encourage you maybe to rethink a little bit about how you use them and which ones that you use, okay? I think that Portugal is a pretty special place if so many people use picture books. I'm very proud. Yeah, so, so APINet began in April of 2020 at the annual conference. I can't remember which number it was. It was in Porto. I remember it was my very first opportunity to give a talk. And I drove up to Porto all by myself. It seemed like the most enormous journey. And in my little blue Renault, I remember. And I couldn't find the parking. Oh, it was terrible. And when I arrived, it was just so exciting. And even just to think about it, the tears come to my eyes. It was wonderful because I was all of a sudden with these people who were willing to give me an opportunity to
Sandy.
Sorry.
I need to interact with you now.
I'm absolutely hopeless. I'm so sorry. But that's just because Appy is very special. And so there I was. And it was just fantastic. And I was given this opportunity to talk to people about things that I loved and to encourage people to join me in this mission to make sure that we were able to do what we wanted to do properly. And it was wonderful.
And you managed to do it.
And we managed. And this 20 years later, we are all here and it's just fantastic.
Yeah.
It's absolutely fantastic. So, but I just want to mention two people who were there on that day and were very important. And I don't see them very often at all, but they were key to that time. And Mafalda Ferrari, who I don't think is here, and Rosa Castro. And they, and I just want to share with you the APINet bulletin from the first APINet bulletin, which I edited. There it is. It's all online. You can access this through the APINet site, and where we outlined our APINet objective and everything. And Mafalda wrote about ensino precoce sensibilização aprendizagem, and it was an important contribution there to that first APINet bulletin. And then Rosa Castro wrote about her young learners, my young learners there, and she set up 10 commandments for teaching English in primary school. And, you know, we've probably forgotten about these 10 commandments, but they are still so important for today. And that was such an important page in that APINet bulletin. And it was just wonderful. It was really wonderful. So I'd like to thank Mafalda and Rosa and for being there at that time. They were really important first steps. And, you know, wing flappings, because that's exactly what API does. It enables us to fly. So I knew that I would cry, but anyway, there you go. So
I'm with you.
First presentation that I ever did was at API, and it was about my adaptation of The Little White Rabbit, and many of you have probably experienced it in the workshops that I have given over the years about storytelling, and I still use it 20 years later, and I still use it with pre-primary children when I get the opportunity, and I love the story, and it's so Portuguese. And I think I've only missed one API conference in the last 20 years. And it was just out of pure exhaustion. I just couldn't make it. And it was just a very difficult time. So I really appreciate the support that API have given me. And I've loved seeing young learner teachers become stronger and more confident about what they do and about their work and about knowing how to do it properly. And it's Appy and Appy-net who have given everyone that opportunity to, you know, try out their wings and fly. And we are extremely lucky to have an association like this to support us. So back to picture books that I've shared at Appy. I'll stop crying now. When I was preparing this talk, I was thinking, in a way, the picture books that I talked about over the last 20 years have kind of followed, of course they have, they've followed my understanding of what picture books are. And I've tried hard to really understand that. I did my MA and my PhD, looked at picture books, and now what I do is research picture books. I mean, I'm such a lucky person. So, yeah, I think what it's done is it's followed my journey from thinking about picture books as purely opportunities for language to realizing that they are aesthetic objects that bring more than language to the classroom. So the inclusion then of picture books in the English language classroom is associated with a desire to bring authentic texts into the classroom, but it's also to offer an alternative to unimaginative, boring, graded language, which we find in course books. And so picture books bring a waft of fresh air into the classroom. So the first picture book that I shared at Appy conference, in fact, there was a whole Appy-net event in Lydia, which Alberto came to as well. I don't know if anyone can guess which was the very first picture book which I shared at Appy. You want to write that in the, oh, thank you. I've just seen all your comments. Thank you very much, Sandra Maria, for telling me that you love me. Oh, that's very nice. No, it was not the Gruffalo. In fact, I have to admit, I don't like the Gruffalo, and I have never shared the Gruffalo in any conference. No, yes, it was an Eric Carle picture book. Which one was it, guys? Yes, it was. It was Brown Bear. There you go. It was Brown Bear. And I think everybody knows Brown Bear. It's the predictability and the repetition found in this picture book which attracted me and attracts many teachers when they want to use it. It's very easy to focus almost entirely on the words because the illustrations synchronize and support children's understanding of these words. And it's a wonderful opportunity for children to have access to clear, coherent spoken discourse. And through this picture book, it becomes far more meaningful. So in my Brown Bear workshop, which I led many times, which I think the first one was at the conference in 2001, I looked at how this picture book gave access to the language of colours and animals. I took in coloured crayons, scissors, glue, we cut mini cards, we made a mini book, and it was a wacky experience. So this picture book will always be really special, and I still use it in workshops with teachers, and it's a really great picture book. If you haven't ever used a picture book, this is a great picture book for an early years or a lower primary English teacher to start using. It's great, and it's really easy to share, to read aloud, and the children pick up the language and join in very quickly. So I'm just going to post in the chat some of the other titles I'm just going to quickly mention, just in case you don't know them. So here you go. So the next picture book, which I talked about quite a lot, was this one here, The Cheese and Tomato Spider. And again, it's very similar to Brown Bear, because the pictures and the words show and tell pretty much the same thing. And this also coincided with a book which I wrote at the time, which is about real books, picture books, or real books in the primary English classroom. Then I sort of began to use picture books which didn't just bring language to the classroom. And I remember going to a conference in the north of Portugal, and talking about early pre-primary and sharing I'm the best. And I remember the audience being wowed by it, and it's still one of my favorite picture books. And it's not just language that this picture book develops in children that we share it with, but it's emotional intelligence and understanding and recognizing the feelings of others, and also that everyone has a good thing that they can do, and it might not be the same thing. And then I've also shared Wolves, which is an example of a picture book which shows and tells completely different information, and it's very useful for CLIL context about animals. Another popular one, which a lot of people remember, is Yo Yes by Chris Francesca. Oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't say this is Emily Gravett and Lucy Cousins, and Nick Sharratt wrote Cheese and Tomato Spider. I mustn't forget to say the names of the authors as I quickly show these. So again, this is not just about language, it's about respecting difference and welcoming, you know, others. Then Piggy Book was something else I've talked about, by Anthony Brown, which is a picture book about male chauvinism and gender related issues. And then I've done a workshop, several workshops actually, with my lovely friend and colleague Fatima Alendoru, where we talked about the lost thing. And then more recently, a book called The House That Crack Built by Clark Taylor and Jan Thompson Dix. These latter picture books have been about quite challenging topics. So teenage depression, belonging, sense of belonging, and drug abuse. So I've moved, and of course they're not, possibly, no, they're not. You wouldn't use this with primary children. This was definitely for secondary. So they touch on challenging topics. And so over the last 20 years, I've kind of moved away from thinking of picture books for language to consider picture books as objects in their own right, which have a potential for much more than just language development. So quality picture books boost a growing proficiency at meaning making. They develop a child's ability to infer and to empathize. Language development comes almost automatically, it comes naturally through the interaction which emerges in and around the picture book. It's interesting actually, talking to the screen, oh my goodness. I hope I'm making sense.
You are.
Okay, good.
I'll be coming around, not to make you feel so lonely.
Thanks very much, thank you. Okay, so today's talk then, which is what I said I was going to be, thank you very much for letting me know, Susie, that I'm making sense. So today's talk then, I want to share something which I've been thinking about for a while, and I've been meaning to write an article about a certain set of picture books, and I still haven't got around to it because there's never time for everything that we want to do. And this is, I'm going to start with two stories that feature picture books about animals, two stories that feature animals. And the reason why is because I believe that they help children develop their theory of mind and empathy skills. So I can't believe it, 171 people, you are just amazing, all coming here at this time of the morning. I'm very impressed. So this is a picture book that I want to start my session with here. It's one of my favorite, well, I always say this is one of my favorite, I think all of my picture books are my favorite ones, but it's one of my favorites. It's by Peter Jurassic. And I attended a workshop that he led, I think it was about 4 or 5 years ago, in the UK when I went to a conference. And he told the story behind this picture book. So Petra is Czech, and he would spend his holidays in a cottage in the country that belonged to his aunt. And he would be lying in bed and he would watch the flies. There were lots of flies because it was always hot in the summer. And he always wanted to create a story about a fly's life because he thought, you know, what do? They fly around the light bulb, you know, they love going for the food on the table, and yet people don't like them and they're always shooing them away. So he wanted to tell the story of, or tell the fly's story. And so he had this idea and he presented his idea to Walker Books, but they didn't like the idea of the fly. And poor Petra actually ended up, well, poor, no, it was good. He ended up writing a book about fruit. And this is the book, it's a board book, and it's a cute little board book. But he, in fact, this was his first picture book, and it was based on his ideas of the fly. Petra became more and more famous. I don't know if any of you know his Susie Goose stories. Yeah, I mean, he writes a lot of picture books for younger learners, and he became more and more famous, and therefore he sort of got more confidence, and so he did eventually put in a proposal again to Walker Books for his story about the fly, and this is the story that eventually happened. And that's a nice kind of story, and something that you might also want to share with learners if you know, if you want to, that, you know, he's always wanted to write. This was going to be his first picture book, but it it took time, as some of these things do. So I'm going to share the picture book with you, and I'm going to ask you to multitask. What time is it? Oh my goodness. Okay. Whose voice can you see and hear, and how does that make you feel? Okay. You're able to do that this time of the morning, I hope so. All right, I'd just like to thank Walker Books for giving me permission to share this picture book with you today. So, The Fly by Peter Jurassic. Now, he's a very intelligent fly, don't you think? Because can you see, it almost looks like he has written his name himself. Amazing, he can write. And on the back cover here, look, he can actually speak as well. Can you see? There's a speech bubble. Let me read it out to you. Hello, it's me, the housefly. Open my book and take a look inside. There's never a dull moment. Wow, okay, so shall we take up his offer? Shall we look inside? With the children, of course, you might ask, what do you think we're going to be told about the fly? What do you think he's going to do? Or that kind of thing. So here we have the end papers. If you can see them, they are covered in flies. Oh my goodness. I wonder which fly is our fly. And here is the title page. And as you can see, I took this book because it was one of my favorites to the workshop, and Peter Jurassic has actually signed it for me. And he's even drawn a picture of the silly Susie Goose. But anyway, you can see here, if you can make out the fly. There he is. And he's written his name again. He really is terribly clever. The Fly by Peter Jurassic. And Peter has, or Petra has actually dedicated this picture book to William. I have no idea who William is. So, 2 goggly eyes, 6 hairy legs, 2 transparent wings. It's me, the housefly. But people don't like me being in the house. See what I mean? Look at him down there. He's after me, and it's only breakfast time. This is a great illustration. The fly's view. After breakfast, I do my exercises. 156 times around the lamp keeps me fit. Have you ever thought that the flies are actually doing their exercise when they go around those lights in your kitchen? Then it's time for a snack. I don't mind sharing, but he doesn't want to share with me. Flap! Ouch! That was close. Can you see the fly as he flies out the window? I wonder where he's going. Before lunch, I always visit the cows. I think that they smell lovely. Ugh. Do you like the smell of cows? But the animals don't really like me. I don't know why. This is one of my favorite illustrations of a cow. I just love the bony bottom that you can see there. It's just beautiful. Just so cow-like. Fantastic drawing. Once a frog nearly ate me. Then a bird nearly caught me. Both on the same day. Why? This fly has no idea, does he? I go back to the house for lunch. I like my meals on time. Oops! Oh, here we go again. I can never understand what the fuss is all about. Oh, flap, 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 flap. Oh, poor fly. Even when I find a good place to rest, can you see where he is? He's on the child's head. Oh, uh-oh, flap. I still get into trouble. Poor fly. We're almost at the end of the book. As you can see, my life is not an easy one. I'm just a simple creature. I mean, no harm to anyone. So if you see me, please be kind. I'm going to close the book. Hey, don't shut the book. I'm going to close the book. Help, help. Do you want to squash me? What do you want me to do? Do you want me to close the book? Shall I close the book? I'm going to close the book. I'm going to squash the fly. Yes! Some of you were saying no. Some of you were saying yes. I'm sorry. Poor fly. Absolutely. So, what were those questions? Whose voice can you see and hear? And how did that make you feel? Had you ever thought how a fly might feel about being swatted all the time. Yes, you feel sorry for them. Okay, well, the voice that we heard was the fly's voice, that's right. So in a picture book, anything can have a voice. It's called anthropomorphism. It's a really long word. I'll put it in the chat box for you there. I'm sure that you're familiar with it. Anthropomorphism is the attribution of human traits, emotions, or intentions to non-human entities. It's a fairly common tendency in humans, and it's also a common tendency in picture books. We see it an awful lot. Animals dressed as humans, animals who speak. Our fly didn't dress like a human, but he spoke like a human. So animal characters have been used to teach human morals to children for centuries. They're often stand-ins for children. We might think about anthropomorphizing as the result of having what cognitive scientists call theory of mind, or rather the ability to imagine what other people are thinking and feeling. But we need to remember that it's only imagined because we really don't know. And we naturally use this ability to imagine what animals think. We might agree or disagree with how this is actually done in picture books, and there is a lot of research which thinks we shouldn't be doing it, but it can be extremely useful for developing empathy. So this picture book is told in the first person I. The fly is talking to us, the reader, and the fly is encouraging us to experience the world from his point of view. We are being put in the fly's shoes. And this is the sentiment behind empathy. Empathy is about projection. You have empathy for someone when you can imagine how they might feel based on what you know about them, even though those feelings might not actually be explicitly communicated. So empathetic persons are able to relate and respond to inappropriate ways to feelings, preferences, and ways of thinking of others. Empathy is a social skill, and the ability to see other points of view begins to emerge at around about 4 or 5 years old. And it develops gradually over time and into adolescence. But like all social skills, it needs to be developed, it needs to be trained. So by sharing a picture book like this, our learners are being given the opportunity to look through a fantastical window of an other's life. They're able to experience an other's story. So how did you feel about me closing the book? A lot of you said, yes, but there were also some of you that said, no. You were on the fly's side. You had empathized with the fly, and you realized that in fact, maybe you didn't want me to kill him, even though you don't like flies, and you might also have swatted a number of flies in your life. But you were given the opportunity to experience the fly's side of the story. So this is a picture book that I would say for children around about 8 years old. Daily routines, come on. It's a fairly normal topic, and children will love the fly's less than mundane daily routine. They'll have fun continuing it. What does he do after lunch? And they might invent all sorts of close to death encounters until he goes to sleep at night. Or they might even get super creative and put themselves in other animals' shoes and write about other animals' daily routines. Now, I've actually written about this picture book in 2 places. I'm just going to put the links there in the Humanizing Language Teaching magazine, and also it's on my blog. Back in 2013, I wrote about it. So yes, it's been a favorite book for a long time. So pictures and words then in picture books are like a dancing couple. Imagine the tango. Both dancers are responsible for this dance. At times they do the same thing. They are synchronized. They put their cheeks together and they stride in unison across a stage. And then they part, and each does their different parts of the dance. And then they come back together again. And the pictures and the words in a picture book do this as well. They're like a pair of tango dancers. The best picture books have their dancers, the pictures and the words, doing slightly different things in the dance at different moments in the picture book. And this is what we saw here in this picture book. Here we saw, in fact, no, I'm going to show you this one here. So if you look at this page, we say, but the animals don't really like me. I don't know why. This is what the words tell us, but the picture book actually shows us how the animals are not liking the fly by swishing their tail. So the images give us the opportunity to think about how something is happening in that case. So the next picture book then is, that's right, yeah, is by Marta Altez, and it's called No. And I think that there might be some of you here that have seen me talk about this picture book already, so I apologize for that, but it's such a perfect example of what I want to get, of the idea that I want to get across today. So there you go, just a minute. I've written about this picture book here. I shall just put the link in the chat. There we go, if you want to follow that up. Okay. So, No by Marta Altez, and I would like to thank Child's Play for giving me permission to share this picture book with you today. So, No by Marta Altez. Oh, I always love sharing this picture book. So here we have a dog, and I love dogs. I have dogs of my own, so I often start talking about dogs with the children when we share this picture book. And as you can see, this dog is looking just a little bit guilty. And I wonder why. Well, if we look on the back, we will see why. Ah, he's so naughty. Look what he's done. Thankfully, I don't have, my dogs have never actually done that, but they've done other terrible things. And there's a bit of blurb on the back, which I'm going to read to you. Let me just check the time. Oh my goodness. The little dog in this family works very hard to be good. His family must love him very much. But there's one thing that he doesn't quite understand. And I wonder what that is. Annabelle Almeida loves this book. Thank you. That's good. I'm glad. So let's find out, shall we, what this little dog doesn't understand. So we also have lovely end papers here. These are decorated end papers with lots of the dog doing all sorts of different things, dog-like things. There we have the title page there, No, by Marta Altez. And we have a very nice dedication, which I'm going to read out to you. To my dog Flock. Oh, so that's so nice. So this picture book is dedicated to Marta Altez's dog. Oh, so he must be a naughty dog. And it's also dedicated to my family, my friends, and all the amazing people that I have come to know this year. Ah, now that is significant, and I know why, because Marta Altez, this was Marta's first picture book, and she did a really famous MA at Ruskin University in Cambridge, which is very well known for its children's illustration course. And this was her end project, and she was shown in the final show, and Child's Play liked it so much that they offered her a contract to publish her book. And so in her dedication there, she is thanking everyone who was part of that amazing journey that she went on. So that's really nice. Okay, so hi, my name is No. I'm a good, very good boy. I'm so good that my family is always calling my name. He's so good. He has a halo. Always calling his name. I help them get to places faster. Uh-oh, they're calling his name. No. I taste their food before they eat to make sure that it's all right. I help them look for treasures in the garden. I have a dog that does that. She can't find a treasure. She's always digging holes. I try to look my best, my very best for them. Oh dear, I have a dog that does that as well. Can you see? Rolling in the mud there. I warm their beds before they go to sleep. Ooh. I tidy up their newspapers. Have you ever had a dog that does that? And if I'm hungry, just a minute, feed myself. Can you see there? I help them with the laundry. Ooh. I had a dog who did that and she spoiled lots of my t-shirts. They must love me very much. Well, I'm not sure. Do you think that they do? Forgot to say, I love them too. There's just one thing that I don't understand, and he's looking at his collar and his name tag. I wonder what it is. Why did they buy me a collar with a different name on it? Can you see? The name says Rex. Ugh, just got it wrong. Oh no, sorry, it doesn't say Rex. It says Spike. What am I doing? I can't see the screen. Oh dear, there he is thinking about, why is he called Spike? So there you go. And as Laura has said, the pictures are very important for the students, can easily be explored. They absolutely can, Laura. They can find all sorts of things and talk about the food which they like and the clothes which they see on the line, etc., etc. But what is important here is the pictures and the words in this picture book are doing a different dance. They are showing and telling different information. So, and I forgot to ask you to think about what the pictures and the words were actually doing in this picture book. So you might want to think about that. The words tell whose story? Let's just have a look at it again. I try to look my best for them. I warm their beds before they go to sleep. So the words tell the dogs, thanks Sophia, tell the dog's story. And the pictures tell the story that we, the owner, experience. They tell the owner's story. So they actually do quite different things. They are a fantastic tango dance when they come together. And so what happens is you're taken into a world where you are seeing two different perspectives. You're seeing the dog's perspective and you're seeing the owner's perspective. You're seeing the 2 points of view, and the author is Marta Altez. Okay, Marta Altez. I'll write it in the chat box there. That's it. Thank you very much, Afi. Okay, so what has to happen is, and what makes it funny, is that you naturally see the illustrations, you hear or you read the words, and you put them together. You fill a gap, and by filling that gap, you realize that it's funny because they come together and they become ironic. This is an ironic dance, okay? And children find this very easy to do, and they manage very successfully to put the pictures and the words together and get this story. So it's actually an obsession that we have as humans to imagine what other people are thinking. We are having what they call a theory of mind overload. We are imposing our thoughts on that dog. And a perfect follow-up activity would be for children to imagine what their own pets are thinking, using no as a model. Even if they don't have a pet, they can use an imaginary one. They could use a fly as a pet, or a dinosaur as a pet, or a dragon as a pet. Doesn't matter. So this picture book is once again a window into another world. It's a fantastical world, a dog's world, but it's a window into another world that otherwise we wouldn't have an opportunity to access. We're laying the foundations for children to be able to project themselves into others' shoes and be empathetic. So by using animals, we're actually taking a kind of a light-hearted path to begin with. But we're still acknowledging that picture books endorse an indispensable social skill, theory of mind. So maybe then we can look through another window, and we can look through the window of a real child this time. And so I'm going to share Me and My Fear, which is a picture book by Francesca Senna. Now, I practiced doing this, but I was able to see myself on the screen, so I was able to read the words of the picture book. So I'm not sure how easy that's going to be now, but anyway, I'll give it a go. I've written about this picture book on my blog. Just a minute, let me put the link. There we go. Okay. And I'd like to thank Flying Eye Books for giving me permission, or for allowing me to share this picture book with you today. Okay. They've also created a really nice set of resources, which we'll look at the end, but I can share them here in the chat box as well. There we go. Okay. So, so while I'm sharing this picture book with you, think about what we've talked about already, this idea of theory of mind and empathy, and how you might be able to share this picture book with children in your classrooms. So, Me and My Fear by Francesca Senna, published by Flying Eye Books. So the front cover then, we have the title Me and My Fear, and we see a little girl being hugged by a creature. And we might wonder what that is, and we might ask the children what they think it is. If we look on the back cover, there's some blurb which might help us. When a young girl has to move countries and start at a new school, her fear tells her to be alone and afraid. How can she hope to make friends if she doesn't understand anyone? Surely no one else feels the same way. So maybe this is the little girl, and maybe this is her fear. I mean, the title tells us Me and My Fear. Let's see. End papers. These are interesting. But difficult to understand. Maybe we will understand them a little bit better when we finish the reading the picture book. Let's have a look. Me and My Fear by Francesca Senna. And there's a very nice dedication. It says, to my mum, who would encourage me to draw my fears, and to my dad, who would share some of his fears with me. Okay, that's nice. Again, in the illustration there, her fear, if that's what it is, we'll find out, is hugging her. Okay. I have always had a secret, a tiny friend called fear. Can you see the fear sitting there? Fear has always looked after me and kept me safe. Together, we have explored new things and stuck by each other. You see Fear with the little girl on her bed, so she's not afraid of those creatures underneath her bed. But since we came to this new country, Fear isn't so little anymore. This is a lovely spread. Can you see how Fear is getting bigger and bigger? Looking out at the rain there in the window. I want to go outside and discover the neighborhood, but Fear won't move. You see, Fear has filled her room and the little girl can't get out. And when I have to go to school, Fear doesn't want me to go. Fear hates my new school. When the teacher says my name wrong, she grows angry, even though I know it was just an accident. It's a great illustration there of Fear in the rain. Don't think she likes the rain. And at break time, Fear keeps me to herself. It's enormous, isn't she? An interesting concept, this idea of seeing Fear like that. I don't understand anyone, and they don't understand me. When school is over, Fear can't wait to go home. And at dinner, Fear eats all the food that she can. And at night, in my new room, Fear dreams so loudly that I can't sleep. This is a really powerful image, because fear does keep us awake, doesn't it? I feel more and more lonely every day. Fear says it's because nobody likes me. Well, I don't like it here either. What's this? A boy in my class wants to show me something. Soon we begin to draw and paint together. At break time, I want to go outside and play with the boy. And you can see that she has to take Fear with her, but Fear is now getting much smaller. As we run through the playground, suddenly a dog barks at us through the fence. Ah! The boy screams and he hides quickly behind something strange and small. I wonder. Wow. He has a secret fear like me. I thought I was the only one to have a fear. That wonderful discovery that everyone has one. So fear is getting smaller each day, and school is not so difficult anymore. It's still not easy to understand everything, but I've started to notice that everyone else has a fear too. All the children there in the classroom with their little fears. And sometimes we all play together. Even the fears are playing. Here are the back end papers. There's an author's note. I'll just read the beginning of it. I'm a very anxious person, and at times when working on this book, my fear would grow too big and grip me too tightly. I would not have succeeded without the precious help of many people, and then she lists those people. And this book is actually endorsed by Amnesty International for reminding us that every child has the right to express their feelings, relax, and play with their friends. I'm just going to show you the everyone has one. Yeah, absolutely, Branka. Is it Branka? Yeah. So if you remember those opening end papers, they were a bit weird and we couldn't kind of make them out. Well, if you focus, for example, on that hoop there, if you go on the back, we can now see that it was the hoop around a fear. It's really interesting. So we have a movement here from not being able to see the fears to seeing them at the end there. That's great. Yes, we can. We can see their eyes, absolutely. But of course, at the beginning of the book, we don't know what they are and we can't make sense of it. And only by reading the book and then making that connection. And that's what's so amazing about picture books, is that they encourage you to move backwards and forwards so that you can really understand and make connections there. So if you look, yes, it's a wonderful book. I'm running late. Can I have a couple more minutes?
Yes,
is that all right?
It's okay because there is no question posted in the question and answers box so far, so you can go on and then.
Okay. So I'm just going to share my screen so that you can see the website. Where is it? I've got it here. Here we go. If you look on the website, which I posted there in the chat, it's a really nice little guide there for you with a set of questions that you can ask the children there. So what do you do when you're worried or afraid of something? I mean, and what do you think I'm going to say children because I don't like the word kids, new children in your school are afraid of? And how can you help other people not to be afraid? And then thinking about what you might want to do with your fear. Where does it live? Is it at home or is it at school? Do you want to tell your teacher or your parent about your fear? There's some really interesting questions there. But there's also a nice sort of framed worksheet for the children to draw what makes them scared or worried, or to draw what their fear might look like. So these are wonderful opportunities to share fears, and they work really nicely. Now, you might think, oh, I couldn't do that in English. Well, no, you probably couldn't do it all in English, but you could ask the children in English, they could tell you in Portuguese, and you could then rephrase into English. And you can help them by giving them key words. So you can give them formulaic language like, when I'm afraid, and then give them things like, or ask them to tell you, and then you rephrase it, bite my nails or hide in my room or hug my knees or whatever. So it is possible to use the language which the children give you to then develop English. So this picture book then helps children think about helps them realize that other people have fears and they're not the only ones, but it also helps them see how they can help others not be afraid. So that question, how can I help others not be afraid, is an important question, and hopefully it will lead to action. So you could help children make a list of things that they could do. They could create a poster, maybe they could write a song, or they could perform it. So we could help children take action that would move beyond their classroom so that they can interact with the community. The poster that they've created could go into their school main entrance and they could share it with the rest of the school community. The song could be sung at a school party, or maybe it could be recorded and made available to friends and family. So we need to help children see that they can talk about their fears safely, but they can also help others do this too. And this means that they'll be able to help newcomers who might come to school and feel afraid. And we can help make their arrival a little bit easier. So picture books then contain messages that enable children to develop their understanding of social situations and aspects of emotional intelligence, working on understanding their own and others' emotions and feelings of empathy and concern for others. So they are windows into another world. And I've shared 3 picture books with you. Each used the voice of the main character to tell its story. The Fly and No used animal characters to help children ease into developing empathy and projecting themselves into an other's shoes in an entertaining way. Me and My Fear involved projecting oneself into a less fantasy-like world, but it is a possible world. So much so that children might actually see themselves in this picture book. They might see the fact that another has a fear. So our picture book is no longer just a window, it's become a mirror. So in 1990, Rudin Sims, and I'll just post her name here, there we go, wrote about picture books being mirrors, windows, and sliding doors. She wrote, and I'm just going to read it, "Books are sometimes windows, offering views of worlds that may be real or imagined, familiar or strange. These windows are also sliding glass doors, and readers have only to walk through in imagination to be part of whatever world has been created and recreated by the author. When lighting conditions are just right, however, a window can also be a mirror. Literature transforms human experience and reflects it back to us. And in that reflection, we can see our own lives and experience as part of the larger human experience. Reading then becomes a means of self-affirmation, and readers often seek their mirrors in books." So for Sims Bishop, this was a succinct architectural metaphor for sharing multicultural literature and children. And I'm sure that this quote will be referred to by Nayeed Ibrahim in her talk, because she actually talks about multicultural literature later on today. And David Valent on next Saturday actually uses this metaphor in his title. So he's probably going to talk about it too. It's a really good metaphor to remember, but I don't think it need only be multicultural literature. As I've shown you, the 3 picture books were definitely windows and mirrors, but they were not necessarily multicultural. So before I end, over the last 20 years that I've been part of AppyNet, I've already shared several links with you, but I've been able to share my enthusiasm for picture books in the classroom, and I've done quite a lot online to, has it gone there? Yes, that's it. So the 3 links there. I'm just sharing the link to my blog. If you don't know about it, shame on you. It started in 2010, and I stopped for 6 years, and I've recently started blogging again, and I'm blogging a lot more about picture books like Me and My Fear. And then also Pepelt, which is a project which I've been part of now for 3 years. And if you don't know about that, again, shame on you. Please do visit and take a look. And then finally, this is a project which you might not be so familiar with, which is iSpell, intercultural citizenship education through picture books in early language learning. And it's very exciting that that I'm able to share this with you here, because it's something which I'm doing with Appy. It's an Erasmus Plus project, and it's in collaboration with Appy, and in particular with Sonia and Anna Nunj. We are looking at picture books for intercultural citizenship, and we will be developing a training module, which hopefully 15 of our AppyNet members will be able to attend. So if you're interested in that, then you might want to speak to Sonia at the end of this. Right, so just coming to the end now. It's rare that I don't share my definition of a picture book with everybody in a session when I'm talking about picture books. It's actually not my definition, but it's the definition that I use a lot. So I just thought that I'd finish with that today. It's a definition given by Barbara Bader. There it is in the chat box. A picture book is text, illustration, total design. It's an item of manufacture, a commercial product, a social, cultural, historic document, and foremost, it is an experience for a reader. As an art form, it hinges on the interdependence of pictures and words, on the simultaneous display of the two facing pages, and on the drama of the turning page. A picture book is an aesthetic object. And if it is like this, it is a window, a sliding door, or a mirror, and it brings much more than language into the classroom. So I advise you to use your picture books wisely and help change the world. Thank you to AppyNet for inviting me to share my thoughts on all of this.
Thank you, Sandy, so much.
Getting up.
And yes, we are on time. Well, there's someone, Sofia Moreira, posted a question, not in the question and answer box, but in the chat box. And she was asking, but it's okay. Is there a concept for giving emotions a concrete form, such as in this book, Me and My Fear, or in the book, The Color Monsters? So I'll repeat, is there a concept for giving emotions a concrete form, such as in this book, Me and My Fear?
Is there a concept for giving them a concrete form, a word for it? That's interesting. I don't know. Well, that's a really good question. But yes, I mean, the fact that the fear is this sort of white bulbous creature, and in the color monster, it takes on different colors and forms depending on the emotion, doesn't it? I don't know if there is. I'm sorry, but it would make sense, wouldn't it? Definitely.
Yeah.
It is the visualization of emotion, and one of the reasons why using picture books is so important, because children are able to see something in an illustration which they can recognize and label, give a name to, and that means that they are they're able to see something happen which they might not have control of in the real world. So the picture books give them examples of what is possible, and then also possibilities of how to overcome it, and also possibilities of how not to overcome it, which can then be talked about and will help them eventually think about how they can overcome it. So yes, they are extremely useful for that. So to visualize emotion, yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, Sandy. And Caroline Leslie also posted a question here. Why are scholars against the idea of anthropomorphism?
Okay, right. Well, it's because do we have the right to impose our thoughts on creatures that do we know? It's very egoistic for us to do that. And so there's a lot of sort of metaphorical discussion around that. Yes, it's just what I mean. I think you'll always have trends, won't you? And animals have always been used as stand-ins for humans in so many ways. And now we have there's a whole part of children's literature called animal theory. And in that's the literature where they're beginning to challenge, why should we be using animals to impose terrible things, even in a picture book. So nice. Although I think that it works really nicely as it is entertaining in a way for children. It's a lovely start to start with animals and then move into children.
Okay, Sandy, thank you so much. As someone said here, your selection of books is always amazing. As for myself, I think I will buy The Fly to offer to my husband, just to see the fly's point of view from now on. Isabel Inácio is also saying, you are the reason, Sandy. I love using picture books in classroom. It's always a pleasure to listen to your conference. So, and again, sharing. Thank you also for sharing not only the books but emotions, and your projects, your blog, the Pepelt project, which is amazing. And I do recommend that you, participants, colleagues, teachers, go there, because it's a wonderful resource of picture books and how to use them in the classroom. And of course, the iSpell project that will have more information, hopefully in 2021, and we will have some Portuguese teachers to take part of it. So, Sandy, thank you so much. It was a very emotional session, as I said before. And on behalf of API and the APINEP, thank you one more time for being APINEP's mother.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for continuing it. Well.
So thank you so much, everyone. We will see you in half an hour with the Romulo Neves webinar. Remember that at 10:30 we have a webinar and at the same time a workshop. So there are two different links on the document that we have sent you. And remember that the workshop is limited. So if you get the message, the workshop is full, please try to attend the webinar, okay? Thank you so much, Sandy, thank you. I hope you enjoyed the conference and can attend some of the sessions too, and we will see you. Thank you again.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.